Baalbek, Lebanon has remained one of the most enduring mysteries on planet Earth.
Baalbek is the one ancient site on Earth that proves a lost advanced civilization existed, and the new data is undeniable.
There are 3 stone blocks called the trilithons, each weighing approximately 800 metric tons, which is 1.6 million pounds.
For a long time, it sat under a comfy explanation that made sense to scholars. But that certainty just cracked wide open. New tests show known transport methods couldn't move these stones. Hands down, this is the biggest archaeological shock of the century. The platform points to a sky pattern that doesn't fit the Roman era at all. It's a puzzle that's no longer held together by old guesses. Prepare to see history fall apart in real time. Software cracking history. For a long time, Baalbek sat under a confident explanation. The common belief was that the Romans built everything at the site. Historians trusted this idea because it fit their expectations. The Romans had the tools, the workforce, and the engineering knowledge. According to several researchers, any contradiction was brushed aside as a measurement error or a misreading. That certainty began to crack as new studies arrived. Tool marks on the stones didn't match Bronze Age or Iron Age chisels. They also didn't match any tool tradition the team could recognize. Physics tests kept showing that the known transport methods couldn't move stones that weighed hundreds of tons. Roman archives offered no record of any project that involved shaping or lifting blocks of that size. The main platform even pointed toward a sky pattern that didn't belong to the Roman era. According to some field workers, the site felt like a puzzle that could no longer be held together by old assumptions. The contradictions reached a point where the team needed a new approach. This was when they turned to a pattern recognition software. It was originally designed for engineering analysis and forensic stone studies. The team taught it to identify microscopic signatures in metal and stone, to interpret radar scans, and to compare structural geometry against long-term sky models. It had already been used on Roman bridges, Mayan pyramids, and several ancient Chinese foundations. Internal reports stated that the group trusted it because it didn't create theories on its own. It only handled data and tested that data against known construction styles. Before they committed to it, the team held several meetings where they debated whether it was time to let a machine recheck everything. According to some researchers present at those meetings, they finally agreed because the traditional explanations were no longer holding together. Once the decision was made, they loaded every file they had into the system. The toolmark studies added thousands of close scans, hundreds of clear photographs, and basic chemical readings from the stone surfaces. The geological work contributed radar scans of the ground, simple soil tests, mineral notes from the quarry, and maps that showed pressure points in the bedrock. Every file was uploaded exactly as it was collected. According to the team, this was the only way to make sure their expectations didn't influence the results. The software studied the material in stages. It compared tool marks to known Old World traditions, assigned probability scores to each construction phase, and built a timeline using weathering depth and erosion patterns. It tested the alignment data against every sky model in its library. When it finished, it combined all results into a single analysis that highlighted conflicts and anomalies. The first major contradiction appeared at once. The foundational megaliths didn't match Roman engineering practice. The software detected no Roman iron chisel signatures and no Roman proportional systems. It identified placement and load patterns that didn't belong to classical engineering. The sky alignment also pointed to an era the Romans didn't work with. According to reports from those present during the review, the room went silent. Some asked for the files to be checked again. Others insisted there had to be a mistake. The system labeled the foundation stones as non-Roman and non-classical. With that, the accepted story collapsed and the team was forced to ask a much harder question. If the Romans didn't cut the stones, then who did? To find the answer, the team began studying the tool marks again through the software's lens. This led to an even stranger discovery that changed the game. Could a machine find the fingerprints of a civilization that never left a name? Steel slicing stone tech. After the software ruled out Roman involvement, the team returned to the stones with a new sense of urgency. According to several researchers, they expected the next step to clear up the confusion. But the opposite happened. The software showed that the cuts in the limestone didn't look like the result of hand tools at all. The surfaces were unusually smooth. The channels followed clean lines, and the depth of each mark remained almost identical from start to finish. This level of control didn't match the irregular blows that bronze or iron chisels should leave behind. The team agreed that something else had shaped these stones. The microscopic scans supported this concern. They revealed channels that kept the same width throughout their entire length. They revealed cuts that followed precise paths with no sign of hammer pitting or chisel vibration. The software compared these marks to every tool pattern in its database. It tested Roman chisels, Phoenician wedges, Assyrian picks, and even older Neolithic traditions. None of them matched. The system then flagged several similarities to industrial cutting techniques that used flowing water mixed with abrasive material. These methods used steady streams of water to guide the cut while particles in the water did the actual grinding. According to unverified reports from inside the team, this was the first moment when the room grew tense. The match wasn't exact, but it was close enough to raise serious questions. Chemical tests added another layer of surprise. The software highlighted the presence of quartz sand and small pieces of corundum on the cut surfaces. These minerals were harder than limestone and could act as strong abrasives when moved through water. They were also not natural to the area, which suggested intentional importation. Some members of the team believed this pointed to a planned and organized cutting process rather than simple experimentation. Nothing in the older explanations accounted for this kind of preparation. The software then focused on the quarry floor. It identified evidence that the builders had used a freeze and thaw extraction method. According to the system, the workers would have carved narrow trenches around a block, filled those trenches with water, and allowed winter temperatures to freeze it. As the ice expanded, it pushed against the rock and separated the block from the bedrock. The software detected patterned vertical cracking and fracture lines that matched known freeze and thaw signatures. It also highlighted shallow channels in the quarry floor that appeared to guide water movement. Similar techniques existed in prehistoric Scandinavian and early Chinese quarries, although none of those examples operated at the scale seen at Baalbek. Together, the water-assisted cutting and freeze-based extraction created a cutting system that didn't belong to any known culture in the region. The Romans had never used such methods, and no ancient Levantine group had either. According to the team, the marks pointed to a process that was scientific, controlled, and carefully planned. This implied the presence of a skilled engineering group. It also left the researchers uneasy. If the cutting was this advanced, then the task of moving the stones would raise even greater problems. The marks on the rocks suggest tools that we aren't supposed to find in the ancient world. Massive megalith logistics. The cutting alone had shocked the team, but according to several researchers, the real fear began when they turned to the transport problem. If the stones were shaped with such advanced methods, then moving them should reveal even more. The software was given the task immediately, and the team expected at least one traditional idea to survive the tests. That hope disappeared quickly. The software began by converting every known variable into usable data. It used the exact weight of each block, the strength limits of wooden rollers, the tensile capacity of ancient ropes, the slope of the terrain, soil friction measurements, the contact area beneath each stone, and weather conditions predicted from historical climate records. According to internal notes, the system was instructed to assume perfect coordination in the best possible conditions. The team wanted to be fair. They wanted to know if brute force could work in any scenario. The system ran more than 10,000 simulations. It changed roller spacing, adjusted rope counts, tested different roller materials, shifted path directions, and examined sledges with and without lubrication. It even tested shallow incline adjustments to see if the ground itself could support the load. The first results were brutal. Wooden rollers failed almost immediately. Under weights that reached 800 to 1,600 tons, the rollers flattened and splintered. The friction created so much heat that repeated attempts led to temperatures high enough to char the wood. The software noted that even if workers replaced the rollers constantly, the stones would move only inches before the entire system collapsed. Rope-based solutions weren't any better. To pull one of the larger blocks, the rope would need to be wider than a human torso. The amount of rope required would weigh more than the workforce pulling it. The tensile strength needed didn't exist in any known rope-making tradition from the ancient world. According to unverified reports from inside the lab, several team members felt disbelief turning into frustration as they watched the numbers appear on the screen. Workforce estimates created an even more shocking problem. To generate the needed force, more than 30,000 people would have to push or pull a single stone. There was no physical space around the block to place that many people. Even if there was, the coordination would be impossible. The software labeled the idea as unrealistic. Sledge tests offered no relief. The stones sank into the soil in nearly every simulation. Wetting the ground increased suction and made the problem worse. With every traditional method eliminated, the software proposed a different model. It suggested that the builders created longer but smoother routes, reshaped the terrain, used roller systems arranged in triple layers, and relied on engineered weight distribution platforms. According to the team, this level of planning required surveying and engineering knowledge that didn't exist in any known culture from the region. The researchers now understood that transport wasn't a matter of brute strength. It was a matter of advanced design. This realization pushed the investigation in a new direction. The software moved to the alignment data next, and that shift turned the entire focus of the study toward the sky. If 30,000 men couldn't move one stone, how did they finish the entire platform? Ancient Sky Alignment Blueprint. The software's shift to alignment data changed the tone in the lab. After the transport study, the team expected more engineering puzzles. Instead, they found a question that reached out of the earth and into the sky. The software was given laser measurements, precise site orientations, horizon profiles, and solar data. It ran those numbers against models that simulated the sky across 12,000 years. According to internal logs, the system checked solstice sunrises and sunsets, equinox positions, planetary risings, and the long, slow drift of axial precession. The first step was straightforward. The software mapped where the platform pointed relative to the local horizon and then calculated where the sun and bright planets would have risen at that azimuth across different eras. The program accounted for axial precession, which shifts the apparent position of stars and the sun by small amounts each century. Precession completes a full cycle in about 26,000 years. For simple sunrise alignments, that slow wobble is critical. The team emphasized that the Romans didn't account for precession in their building projects. According to several researchers, reliable measurement of precession didn't exist in classical Roman astronomy. When the machine overlaid the sky models, it produced a result that stunned everyone. The platform alignment matched the summer solstice sunrise, but not for the Roman timeline. The perfect geometric fit occurred many millennia earlier. The software placed the strongest match roughly 7,000 to 9,000 years before the Common Era. This is a preliminary estimate and it's speculative. According to the team, the dating needs cross-checks and further field validation. Still, the alignment was exact enough to remove simple coincidence from the list of explanations. That discovery forced a new frame. If the platform was oriented to a prehistoric solstice, then whoever built it understood solar geometry well enough to predict sunrise positions centuries in advance. The team compared Baalbek's result with known deep time sites that show astronomical planning. Göbekli Tepe in Anatolia has ceremonial structures that reflect sky observations. Nabta Playa in the Egyptian desert includes stone arrangements aligned to solstices. Could we be living on top of a lost world that was more advanced than us? Tell me what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.